Hello and welcome to the Tote Show. I'm joined once again by Tom Malone. Welcome, Tom. And before we start off, I suppose there's only really one place to start off. And we had our last show here just over 2 weeks ago, Tom, for Irish Champions Weekend. And a masterclass of tipping, if I do say so myself. Not only did we have verbal dexterity put up at 16 to 1, but Tom weighed in with Decorated Night at 25 to 1 for the Irish Champions Stakes, and an each way double on Clongowes and Silvercoat. And we also put up Harry Angel in the Sprint Cup at 2 to 1 as probably the best 2 to 1 shot you're likely to see this season. So how do we follow that, Tom?
We're probably not. So we should probably just it's either we retire now or we just dine out in this for the next couple of episodes.
I'm going to retire undefeated after that, but we'll give it another go. So we'll probably kick off, Tom, with a look at Listowel. So it was Ladies' Day at Listowel on Friday, but definitely a week for the ladies, of course, with Laura Horgan, Sheila Ahern winning races, and Lisa O'Neill on Potter's Point in the Kerry National. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems to be a lucky rider for Michael O'Leary. In the post-race comments, Gordon Elliott mentioned that Michael O'Leary is pretty keen on Lisa O'Neill to ride. So tough enough week for him to get a good headline. So I suppose
that's true.
He can say he wanted Lisa O'Neill to ride one of his horses, and she puts together back-to-back Kerry Nationals, which is quite incredible for a rider who rides so little. And
really I love watching her. She did me a right touch and tiger roll at Cheltenham, but she's so good in the saddle. She's a really classy rider.
Yeah, and she's essentially a part-time jock. I mean, she helps Gordon Elliott out in the yard, does some office work for him as well, and then comes in and it's like Ruby Walsh describes a boutique jockey by Willie Mullins a few years ago. It's not that dissimilar for Lisa O'Neill. She's picking up 100 grand handicaps all the time.
And speaking of Willie Mullins, Willie Mullins and Ruby carried on before them again at Listowel this week, and really sets the tone for the rest of the National Hunt season.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking about this, and last year Willie Mullins got started slowly, which could have been attributed to the ground because it was a really dry summer last year, and even talking into the Cesarewitch, we were still racing on good to firm. Like at the Curragh, I remember speaking to Patrick Mullins, and when Loads of Spin won, and he was like, "Oh, we can't work ours yet. Like the ground is not soft enough. We don't dip them until it softens up a bit." Look, it's bad news for everyone else that it's bucketing rain for the month of August, but it seems to be pretty good news for Willie Mullins. He's broken the €1 million mark in prize money already, so he wasn't too impressed obviously with Gordon Elliott parking his tanks on his lawn last year. But if you look into it, he's run 98 horses, 50 of them have won.
Incredible record.
It's just phenomenal. Absolutely. I mean, when you comparably, if you're 30% striker, I'd say those top 5 trainers similar sample. 30% striker is pretty good. Joseph O'Brien's the only other one with a sort of comparable rate. And when you're talking about this trainer's title, it just seems like Gordon Elliott's power has been eroded on all sides. Willie Mullins firing again, and then you look at Joseph. He had 38 winners over jumps last year. He's already had 41 this year, and we're not even in October. And you think he's going to get even more ammunition to come with those novice hurdles and the like over the course of the season. So it's probably going to be quite a difficult year for Gordon Elliott, that sort of second season syndrome or whatever he's going to have. But it will be tricky for him.
No harm then that he's got a couple of nice 2-year-olds in the flat to bump up the bank balance.
Yeah, exactly. He won't be complaining.
Just before we finish at Listowel, of course, Ribbon Light booked his trip to Australia, and Chris Meehan really announced himself on the big stage with 3 winners over the week, which is a fantastic performance. I think only Ruby rode more winners over jumps than he did.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And you look at, in fairness to Gordon Elliott, he has always found young talent in the saddle as well. The likes of obviously Jack Kennedy as well, who rides a lot for him. Chris Meehan, another one. I think it was a good story Eric McNamara said after. He didn't even know what he looked like after you were in the winner for him, but prior to the race. But he said, no, look, Gordon said he was good, so that was good enough for me. And indeed it was. Picked up 3 winners.
Yeah. No, fantastic week down in Kerry for everybody, and we really enjoyed it. So we move back on to this week. So we have Navan and Naas this weekend, and of course Barry Geraghty is back in the saddle tomorrow. Navan, anything that caught your eye there for the weekend?
There's just a couple of Alan Fleming runners. Maybe they won't win this weekend, but definitely 2 to keep an eye on. Adelpour is a very decent flat horse, runs in the maiden hurdle, and Marrakesh, who I thought was going to be really good over hurdles, looked like he was handicapped to win a really decent handicap hurdle. Just the ground never seemed to come from last year in one or two issues. He was very expensive purchase as well at John Ox. I think he cost about 300 grand. But yeah, he makes his chase debut as well. He's actually a fine sizable horse.
That's a pretty nice beginner chase.
Yeah.
Around the time of the season now we start to see these good beginner chases.
Absolutely. So Adelport and Marrakesh, I'm not saying back them, but they'd be real kind of horse tracker horses too to keep an eye on. I think Marrakesh finished 4th in that grade 1 at Naas back in 2016. So he could definitely be one to keep an eye on. Because he looked like he was handicapped to win a half decent handicap hurdle, but now they've gone chasing with him. So yeah, definitely an intriguing one.
And for me, I do like those big handicap hurdles in the 220 at Navan tomorrow. I do like Faisal. Hasn't run over hurdles, I think, since May this year at Kilbeggan or Down Royal. I think it was Down Royal. But since then, his 1-2 on the flat and his mark on the flat has risen from 77 to 91. Back over hurdles here off a mark of 100 could be very well treated. Yeah. So that'll do for me tomorrow. So on to Naas, a very good card in Naas on Sunday. A couple of group races there, Tom. We might start with the Well Park Stakes. We have a couple of English challengers there. With Althea and Juliet Foxtrot. Anything to stick out for you?
Well, there's one that sticks out for me, but this is one of these cards that used to be at the Curragh and now given to Naas, and it's a really decent card. Slightly bad turnout for the Lochburn Stakes and the Beresford, unfortunately, but still quality, no doubt. That Charlie and Marguerite Weld Park Stakes, intriguing that Fida Septembre runs here for Dermot Weld. Was well talked about. Chiara Luna was entered in it as well during the week. She obviously doesn't run. But I'd go with Mary Tudor here for William McCreary. Third in the debutante, was just touched off by Magical on debut as well at Cork on that Give Thanks card. So she definitely won. William McCreary tagged her as one of his horses to follow. Fairness to Godolphin, they do absolutely brilliant social media stuff on Twitter and Instagram. So definitely worth to follow. And Mary Tudor was one that... he tagged up. He wouldn't be too famous for, mentioning his horses in the highest regard. He tends to keep his cards close enough to his chest. But he was quite feasting his praise for Mary Tudor, and she's done it wrong on the track. Also, she was backed off the boards for the debutante stakes as well when she ran at the Curragh and picked up the each way money for a third. I think she's back from 40s into 12s or something like that. So.
Yeah, good call there for Mary Tudor. I like Aidan O'Brien's top one there, Athena. And for me, this is really a race. It's a question of who will handle the ground better than most, because it's soft to heavy at the moment with more rain promised at the weekend. So you really want a horse that's going to get through that. And Athena was well beaten in Magical's maiden down at Cork. And of course, we know what Magical has gone on to do since then. And we also know the fillies and the colts and Ballydoyle tend to improve hugely from the first round to their second. So,
and even the second to the third.
And second to third, I think she could be overpriced on Sunday. So maybe we'll have a look at the Renaissance Stakes there. Quiet Reflection, as you were saying just off air, a real touch here for Naas to get Quiet Reflection over. And if she comes back to her 2-year-old form, she didn't run great last time out, but ground was probably too fast. Ground would be absolutely ideal. Her winning the Commonwealth Cup last year stands out in this a mile, doesn't it? Absolutely.
It's just a brilliant piece of form. Nothing wrong with the form of the yard either. Carl Burke is banging in winners, and he's got the highest rated 2-year-old in the UK, and unfortunately as well. So his yard's absolutely fine. This is just a brilliant coup for Naas. I think this is a good reason to go racing on Sunday. You go and see Quiet Reflection. She'll surely be a shade undercooked, but she probably still should be able to win this Group 3 undercooked, just because she should be better than the rest. The likes of Ardhumi here, he's looked weighed down by his Group 2 penalty from winning the Flying 5 last year, and it's probably impeded his season. One I put up at a bit of a price, his run... and he's a Fruit Loop. He might not run his race, but Peace Envoy is a horse with a big race in him, and I have full confidence he's a big race in him. One of his best runs was actually at Naas earlier on the season behind Dr. Jeff, and he just got no run whatsoever, but he looked all over the winner. He's disappointed since then, and I know he's tricky, and I know he's not the most straightforward, but he should be a big old price. Again, Shamie Heffernan on board, so that might skew a bit of the market away from him too, and just a huge price each way. Just because Quiet Reflection could be vulnerable. Look, Alphabet ran a great race at the Curragh last time out. Doesn't often put two good runs together though, and Only Mine as an intriguing runner as well for Joe Murphy. She's done a little wrong all season too.
Yeah, well, Peace Envoy, a good shout from left field there, and I'm definitely not going to chastise it considering what happened when I chastised it about Decorated Night. One that I like is Downforce. Definitely will have his grounds this weekend is £5 better off with Gordon Lord Byron for their run. I think it was at the Curragh where he's beaten 2.5 lengths, and Downforce is only just touched off by a nose in a listed race of York last time out. But an all-known form, Quiet Reflection should really take this. The sixth race, just before we come on to the Beresford, the sixth race is the Joe McGrath Handicap, and of course this is the Tote Trifecta race, and we've a good rollover, almost €6,000 going into that race at the moment. And of course all Tote account customers, we have a special on money back on all Naas trifectas this weekend, so watch out on www.tote.com for all of those offers. One that I like here, again I'm going for a horse that will probably act on the ground better than most, is Enter the Red, a little bit left field, well beaten in a €150,000 handicap over Irish Champions weekend. This is probably more his level. Probably better over 6 furlongs, but will like the ground, and this 5 furlong will take a lot of getting. What do you think?
Well, I'm delighted we're going to put up a trifecta on this 13 runner handicap. Do you know what? I'm just going to put 3 out there. Imagine who I did fancy on Irish Champions weekend. Vosges, who I think is one that can improve for Eddie Lynham, and Tylery Wonder, who used to be trained by William McCree, just because he's dropped down the weights a bit, trained by Paul Midgley now. Is drawn 1, and Tylery Wonder is a horse with quality, not dissimilar to Peace Envoy, but look, he kind of needs to run a solo, and drawn 1 might get a chance to run a solo and has a chance here. So yeah, we're going to do a Euro trifecta. I'd go with Imagine, Tylery Wonder and Vosges, and hopefully we'll click something big on that. Yeah,
and I'll follow that up. I'll go with Enter the Red, Titness and Marek, maybe to spring back to form as well. So we'll have a look at the Beresford Stakes then. Small but select field. Aidan O'Brien, of course, phenomenal record, Tom, in this race. And Brendan Duke jumping into the big league here with recent Listowel winner Warm the Voice.
Yeah, I think we're calling Brendan Duke Mayo all fair, because a lot of people will want him to win it, especially the people who were reporting on the day and at the races. They will absolutely love it if Brendan Duke, the Curragh Conjurer, as a good friend of mine calls him. But look, I would love Warm the Voice to win this, and he's progressing, and we know he will handle the ground. And in fairness to Brendan, he has tagged this race for him for as long as people would listen to him about the horse. Now, obviously, look, Aidan O'Brien's won this race 16 times. He's won it 7 times in the last 8. See the Stars broke his run of form. You know what I mean? Exceptional horses. Worth pointing out as well that Mick Halford's Casamento won this as well. Mick's only Group 1 winner, and he has Riazan. But I wouldn't be against putting up on a Delana Roosevelt or Kew Gardens. I know Ryan Moore goes for Saxon Warrior, but I think I'll be with Kew Gardens. I think Kew Gardens or Delana Roosevelt could improve past Saxon Warrior. I think Aidan O'Brien could easily win this. I think he probably will win this. I'd love to see Warm the Voice win it. But yeah, I think one of Delana Roosevelt or Kew Gardens. I finally fell a little bit out of love with Riazan after his run in Leopardstown. Yes, he was drawn wide, but those 2 horses, Delana Roosevelt and Kew Gardens, really left him for dead. So, and I think both of them still have improvement in them, the top 2 Aidan O'Brien runners.
Yeah, I agree, probably Kew Gardens for me. So no Ayr Gold Cup tomorrow, unfortunately. We're not going to get to have a look at that. But
mercifully
to Tom. We are going to have a look a little bit further forward to Arc Weekend, of course, next weekend. Definitely one of my favourite weekends of the year, and maybe a couple of anti-post races. So we'll have a look at the Arc and the Prix de l'Abbé. So, of course, Enable currently very hot favourite around even money, shade of odds on. And it's probably a case of, is it a race too much? Can you find anything at a price to beat her? For me, her win in the King George and Queen Elizabeth or Royal Ascot makes her nearly unbeatable here, but what's going to beat her?
Yeah, absolutely. And she's had, a lesser race since then compared to Ulysses, who's been out again. He's sort of 8-1 at the moment. Ulysses probably the last race was Query. He's already said he's going to be retired to Sheeley Park next year. I think Enable's the best horse in the race. You're looking down beyond it, Cracksman's probably not going to run. Order St. George is going to have to give her an absolute ton of weight, and he probably isn't quick enough. Winter, I don't think Winter. You could put your house on Winter to say she'd get a mile and a half. Apparently, she was about 30 kilos overweight in Irish Champions weekend, which could easily explain away.
But she's out of feet. Laddie's Poker too, and can't remember the Grand Dam, but it's another sprinter.
Yeah, I know, but
Leading Light
was out of a sprinter as well, so that argument doesn't always hold up. I mean, that was certainly when I put that. I think I put it to Joseph Reid Navan during the year, and that's what I was shot down with. Right. So, and I said it about Churchill as well, but then Meow, who's this 5 furlong horse. Yeah. So that's what I was shot down with. But look, I just don't think Gorgeous St George is quick enough. Don't think Winter will get there. Then your Highland Reel could be a little bit soft. He's a definite each way. When you just look at an each way pokes against you, I think Capri at about 16-1 stands out. Just because he had that break after the Irish Derby, then was so impressive at Doncaster. Yeah. It was quite an attritional race, but it's his only.
He's a big robust horse.
He's a big robust, hardy horse. Yes, he'd a setback, but he should be fresher than a lot of these. I think he's a really decent each way chance around 16-1 for the race, but I think Enable's the best horse in it, and there's a couple of spots of odds against, or one spot of odds against about Enable. Look, I just kind of want Enable to win it, to be perfectly honest. I want to see a cracking horse go and win the Arc. And again, you look at this and you think, what an amazing horse See the Stars was. And to put in the season he put in, and then to come and win those races that Ulysses has won and gotten beaten in, and then go and do the Arc as well after winning a Derby and a Guineas. Just, that's what really came into my head. Just, oh my God, what a horse See the Stars was. Look, I think Enable wins, and I'd give Capri as the each way shout.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree there. I think Enable is by far and away the best bet. You can get anything around even money. She'll prove herself to be probably one of the best fillies we've seen in the last 20 years.
She carries such a light weight. She's a 3-year-old filly in the race, and what might be slightly softened ground, that's no problem to her, whereas it'll dull other horses in the race.
The interesting one actually for me is Cracksman. I mean, the disparity in prices is colossal. In some firms 3-1, some firms 10-1. So if you have a view that Cracksman will run, that 10-1 is currently on offer could be absolutely massive come Thursday evening.
Okay, and then the price about Capri would seem huge as well.
Absolutely.
Beating Cracksman in the Irish Derby. But look, Cracksman looks so impressive in the Great Voltage year. Why didn't he run in the Ledger? It's the campaigning of Cracksman is rather frustrating. I think this year from someone who is actually a Cracksman fan and backed him in the Irish Derby as well. So maybe I'm wounded.
So we'll finish by having a look at the Prix de l'Abbé Marcia here, currently around 2-1, 5-2. Of course, won the race last year. Only the second 3-year-old, I think, at 20 years to win the race at Shanty. Not for me at around 2-1, definitely not. Do you see anything at a bigger price?
At a bigger price, again, falls into the maybe category. I'd like to maybe Muthmere Coachai Glory if it comes up a little bit softer. I'm just looking for ways to oppose Marcia, to be perfectly honest, at that price. Again, maybe I'm scarred by a performance at the Curragh when she was beaten before going on to win it. Caspian Prince beat her before going on to win the Nunthorpe. 2-1 just seems pretty.
Look at the Nunthorpe. Okay, Lady Aurelia beat Lady Aurelia, but back in third and not being too far was Coachai Glory, a 108 rated horse. So
I'm a bit of a Coachai Glory fan, to be honest. Right. But absolutely. Again, but even you look at Coachai Glory, there's 20, 25-1 available. Look, Muthmere is a horse that's won in France in the past. He's won in the going. He's a hardy old sprinter. 25-1. Yeah, I definitely take him as sort of an each way play against Marcia, who I think is a vulnerable favourite. Yeah,
very good shout there. Muthmere 25-1, and one that I'm absolutely all over, currently around 25-1 as well, as Washington DC. Second in this race last year, just touched off by Marcia. Second behind Marcia, I think, in the Palace House Stakes also last year. Really, really consistent sprinter. We don't know who's going to go to this race yet, but if he turns up,
I would say he will go though, because that's one that he does. There isn't a dance he doesn't turn up at. He's everywhere. And then when he came back to the Curragh that time during the summer, and he picked up the Group 3, his name escapes me right now. Ryan Moore said, he's been running really, really hot races all the time. He's entitled to win. And again, you'd have no problem with, like you said, he was second last year. He's 33-1, and Muthmere 25-1. I mean, you'd happily put the pair of them up against Marcia, even if they only place. I just think Marcia at 2-1 is.
Couldn't have it.
No, I couldn't have it in the same.
So before we finish, we just remind you once again that there's money back on all trifecta bets at Naas this weekend for Tote account customers. And Tom, I might just ask for your best bet of the weekend.
Best bet of the weekend is Mary Tudor in that
in the Well Stakes.
Well Park Stakes, yeah.
And for me, I'll stick with FISOL in the 220 at Navan tomorrow. So thanks very much again for watching. Thanks to Tom again for joining us. Brilliant as usual. And we'll see you all again next week. And the best of luck with all your bets.